In a thought-provoking dialogue on governance and development, former Vice President Yemi Osibanjo has called for greater consistency in policy implementation as a cornerstone for sustainable economic growth in Nigeria. The call came at the 19th annual AELEX lecture held in Lagos with the theme Rule of Law and Economic Development, the Nigerian Experience. Delivering the keynote address, Osibajo emphasized that frequent reversals of government policies and projects had become a major setback to Nigeria's progress. He said the lack of continuity not only stalls development, but also discourages long-term investment and erodes public trust.
Very clear. And the problems are generally not problems of lack of policy or laws. There are more problems of weak institutions, weak execution of policies and rules, more human type of problems. It is evident that we must reduce human discretion in the operations of our regulatory agencies. There's a need also to rethink our approach to reform. There must be a meeting of the minds between the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary, and I speak about a practical sit-down meeting. Strangely, that doesn't necessarily happen often. But there's a need for there to be a sit-down, a meeting. And also, eventually with the private sector, to determine what needs to be done.
Also speaking at the event, Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, represented by the Attorney General Lawal Pedro, described the rule of law as the unseen infrastructure upon which any prosperous society is built.
Voluntary compliance with laws and regulations of states, such as environmental, physical planning, income tax, land use charges, etc., and not wait for coercive power of enforcement of the law with the attendant consequences. Please let us reaffirm our collective commitment to the enduring truth that the rule of law is the foundation of every civilized society. As we consider the Nigerian experience, it becomes clear that the rule of law is not just an abstract concept, it is an economic asset. It is the silent engine that powers stability, productivity, and prosperity. To build Nigeria of our dreams, we must continue to strengthen the institutions that uphold the rule of law, ensure consistency in policy, and guarantee that no one, no matter how powerful, is above the law.
Experts at the lecture agreed that policy stability and adherence to the rule of law are essential to unlocking Nigeria's full economic potential, driving innovation, and attracting sustainable investments.
So at the end of the day, you have agencies who should facilitate something, but they're busy trying to make money, to fund staff, to fund computers, to fund this and that and that. So they're then putting pressure on the private sector in order to kind of fulfill this other mandates that's been given to them to raise funding. But then you also then have court delays and uneven enforcement, which means that the value of contractual rights have been minimized. So that what's the point getting into a contract if you can't enforce it? So every business person is thinking, what is the outcome? Can I enforce the contract? Can I repatriate my money? Can I, do business in a fair manner? But then if we can't go to court, we can't trust the court system, and you don't have robust alternative mechanisms, then it then becomes very difficult for you to do business in a way that will promote economic development that we'll talk about.
Things like competition law, and this was early in the 2000s when BPE, for example, was privatizing many government facilities. And we thought to ourselves, well, the way it is going, you will need to begin to think more and more of things like that, because if you privatize 2 or 3 entities in the same industry, how they will relate with each other becomes more important. When they were all owned by the government, it may not have been an issue.
That thrilled you, irritated you, or you found fascinating in your 4 to 5 year of legal education? of the 24, only 4 could discuss one case. And all of them had 2 1s and first classes. Of the 4, only 3 schooled abroad. So you need to start asking yourselves whether we are preparing ourselves for the next level. Economic development will not happen without manpower. Most of the people taking wrong decisions are not taking it. Well, some are malicious, but a lot of it is driven by ignorance.
As the country continues its pursuit of growth, stakeholders say consistent governance, respect for the rule of law, and robust institutions will remain the foundation for Nigeria's long-term development. Okpeyemi Owosheni, TV 360 News, Lagos.